Perform the operations by hand, then use a calculator to check your work. So here we have kind of a long drawn out problem. We've got lots of things going on here. So let's, over on the side, just remind ourselves of what order of operation this is going to tell us to do. So we're going to do what's inside parentheses first, then we're going to work with exponents, then we'll do our multiplying or dividing left to right, and then we'll do our adding or subtracting from left to right. So as I look at this problem, I do have some parentheses, but there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. The parentheses are just serving to hold the negatives onto the negative numbers, and so there's nothing to do with the parenthesis step. Now let's take a look at our exponents. We do have one exponent here. So when I do the exponent part, notice what's being raised to the second power. The base of the exponent is -3. So -3 raised to the second power, that means -3 times -3, which we know is going to give us +9. So I'm going to bring that 9 down here, and it's a +9. But notice here this -2 that's out in front. The -2 has to multiply the result of that -3 squared, right? It's juxtaposed. It's jammed up right next to that parenthesis. So we want to be sure that that 9 stays in parentheses, or that we show a multiplication dot just to be sure we don't lose that multiplication. Now I'm going to bring down the rest of the problem with me. Once I've done that, there aren't any exponents left, so I'm done with the exponent step. Now I'm going to come in and do my multiply or divide step. There's no division, so we just have some multiplications to work. -2 times +9. Negative times a positive is a negative, and 2 times 9 is 18. And then in this next place, we have a +4 being multiplied to a -3. Positive times a negative is a negative, and 4 times 3 is 12. And then that -1, that -1, is just going to come right on down along the way. Now we're down to our add or subtract step. So when we get to this point, depending on how you're feeling about working with these signed numbers, you can go ahead, if you're comfortable just going ahead and combining them, that's just fine. We could also think about the idea of adding the opposite with all of these by just putting in kind of like a little invisible plus sign, but making that visible. Because -18 minus 12 is the same as -18 plus a -12. And then when we write down this -1, that's the same thing as adding -1. And now when we go ahead and combine all of these, -18 plus a -12 is a -30, and then we still have that -1. -30 minus 1 is going to give me -31. So let's go ahead and just check our answer on the calculator. So we're going to come back up here, we're going to clear things out, and we're going to enter in the problem exactly as it appears. So, we're going to be careful of parentheses and negatives and minuses and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start with -2. And then that's being multiplied by, so we're going to use our multiplication sign. And then in parentheses, we have -3, and I'm going to close the parentheses, and then I'm going to use my squared button to show that 2 exponent. Now to that, we had +4, and that 4 is being multiplied to -3, so so times, we use the multiplication, in parentheses -3, close the parenthesis, and then I'm going to subtract 1 there at the very end, and we'll cross our fingers and we'll press enter, and there's the -31 that we were hoping to see.